listening to the Marketing Happy Hour podcast, where we discuss career and industry insights with our peers in marketing.
We're here to talk about it all, like the ups and downs of working in social media,
how to build authentic relationships in the influencer and PR space,
managing a 9-to-5 and a side hustle at the same time,
how to be productive in your life and career without losing your sanity, and more.
Ultimately, we're here to build a community with you because we're all trying to navigate the world of marketing together.
Are you ready? Grab your favorite drink and join your hosts, Cassie and Erica, for this week's episode. Okay, everyone, I don't even know if you're ready for this. We have been so excited to release this episode because it is with a representative of one of our favorite brands on the market right now. This week, we are catching up with Izzy Yellin, content manager at CPG soda brand OLIPOP. In this episode, Izzy walks us through her day-to-day tasks in content strategy and creation, gives us a behind-the-scenes peek at her favorite OLIPOP projects, and explains how the OLIPOP team utilizes social media content to foster a true community with their consumers. She also shares her best advice for marketing teams looking to elevate their content, find interesting ways to join the conversations already happening online, and show up in unexpected places to create memorable brand moments. If you have OLIPOP in your fridge right now, pause this, go grab one, and come back because we are so excited to dive in. Thanks so much for listening. Hey Izzy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
So good. We are so thrilled to have you on the Marketing Happy Hour podcast today. But before we get started, I have an important question for you that we ask all of our guests. And it's an extra special question today because you represent the brand that we're going to be talking about during this segment. What is in your glass this afternoon?
So I have one of my favorite flavors, grape OLIPOP. It's amazing. It hits the spot. It's 11:30 right now, but I always sip on it right at like noon this time to get me through the rest of the day.
Incredible. I actually also am sipping on an OLIPOP. Surprise, surprise. It's the classic root beer flavor. Funny story with that is I never liked root beer, and I actually gave it a try again because I wanted to try one of the fun OLIPOP flavors that you came out with. And I fell in love with it again. So I'm now a root beer fan thanks to OLIPOP. Cassie,
I'm so
what about you?
glad we could get you back on the root beer train. Have you done a root beer float yet?
I want to so badly. That was actually my plan for this episode. I was going to go get vanilla ice cream and like make it a whole thing. I actually have like a really cute glass with me too that just has water right now. But I'll probably do that a little bit later or maybe in another episode here too.
Definitely keep me posted on that adventure.
I will. Cassie, what's in your glass?
Yeah, so I also have OLIPOP. Surprise. I have vintage cola. It's so funny. I feel like the three of these flavors that we have are definitely my ultimate favorites of OLIPOP. For me specifically, cola, I absolutely love cola. So when I first discovered OLIPOP, having like a healthy version of cola was amazing. And that's the only version of cola I'll drink now. I'm a huge fan.
Yay, I'm glad. That also will make a good float as well.
I know.
They all
Man.
do. They all
After
do.
this, we'll all just go make some floats as our cap to this episode. Awesome. Well, Izzy, we are so excited to learn from you today. But first, if you don't mind, if you could tell us a little bit about your background in marketing and how you came into your role you hold today at OLIPOP.
Yeah, of course. So, I've always held an interest in social and working with brands. So in college, I quickly, wanted to get into it and figure out a way to get into social media. So I held a variety of different internships. I worked for an amazing PR agency, actually, where I'm based in Denver. And I got to touch on a lot of different brand social channels and help with that, as well as their influencer marketing. So that was really, really fun. And then after, I graduated college, I went to CU Boulder in 2021 and I graduated and I got a job right out of school working for Wilde Chips. I don't know if you guys know them. It's another CPG brand.
Yeah, the chicken Like chicken chips,
yes.
right?
I was
Yeah.
the chicken chip girly. I don't know if you knew that. But now, I got to start working with them and I ran their social. I got them on TikTok, built up a lot of their, influencer community there. And then I was lucky enough to be, invited to ExpoWest, which I think you guys probably are familiar with as well. And that's actually how, after a year of working Wild, I went there. And I met Steven Vigilante, who's my boss today, and we met at, a networking event, which is super funny. I really didn't know who he was. We just somehow got connected, and he followed me and kind of followed what I was doing at this other company and, invited me to join the OLIPOP team and help them build out their influencer marketing strategy because he was kind of, owning that and he needed someone to help. So I joined the team May of 2022 and was their influencer coordinator, and then quickly, fell in love with the influencer side as well. But then, always wanted to have my hand in social. I was always kind of giving ideas and feedback, and kind of moved up and became the content manager. So it was like a really fun journey, starting with influencer, and then, I still get to touch on it, which is great. But now I'm really owning like the strategy and content here at OLIPOP.
Oh, that's awesome. And we love organizations where you can kind of express what your strong suits and desires are, and leaders that are just able to take that and kind of put you into that position. So congrats on that.
Yeah.
But almost 2 years in to working at Olipop, right? So I'm sure your day to day kind of looks different in a given time, or campaigns that you guys are working on. But just in general, what does kind of the normal daily tasks look like for you, and what mediums and platforms are your team creating content for?
Yeah, like you said, it's kind of changing every day. And I think a lot of social media managers feel the same way. Like it's never the same. Everything is kind of moving. And that's kind of the beauty of the job. You never get bored, which is something I love and really appreciate. And then also Olipop is so great because you get to wear a bunch of different hats. So, again, it's always changing. But usually I start my day with like a task list. I'm like, okay, what actually is this high priority? What do we need to get done here? And then moving into, I always am on a lot of calls, which is great. We are fully remote, so we are hopping on calls with internal teams, getting synced up of what needs to be done, and then external teams as well. If we want to do a brand collaboration, or we are talking with influencers to make content on our channels as well. So a lot of calls as well. And then, just planning the content calendars for our platform. So you asked, what platforms we're planning. So Instagram is my bread and butter. That's what I'm really touching on most days. TikTok, I help run our strategy. We have 3 amazing content creators that actually make the content. You'll see me featured in them, but I'm not really making it. But help with the strategy there. And then Threads as well. Super fun. What a really fun new platform that kind of all the brands have gone on this year.
My gosh. I have to interrupt you for a minute because I love Threads. What's the interaction been like with you and the consumer on that platform? I'm so curious to hear.
It's just so fun. Like you said, I think brands are really having such fun with it. It feels like I'm in a text group chat with friends, essentially. So that's where we get to be our like most playful self. I think our bio even says like Olipop unhinged on here. So it's really the fun side of the fun side of marketing and social. It's when you can really express organically and talk to those consumers like very, not as structured, I would say. And then lastly, Twitter, my boss, Steven, loves, he owns that platform and, or X now. So he's running that.
Oh, so fun. And I know a lot of content managers, social media managers could probably agree to this, but there's a lot going on that we have to manage at all times, right? So I'm curious for you, how do you stay organized? Do you have any tips for ensuring that you're kind of ahead of the game with campaigns and things coming up in the year, just so you can kind of work in a very sane manner, I guess is the word, throughout the year on your role?
Yeah, I think staying organized is huge. So again, for me, it's my task list. I think I could not get anything done. I think I have a bunch of task lists going on at all times, and just making sure, even if it's like the smaller things, making sure that those are going to be accounted for. If it's not pressing, that I can get back to them. with, content calendars, it's nice because I get to see everything laid out in front of me. So we're usually working 2 months in advance on the content we're putting out. We're trying to get to 3. But that also allows me to, put filler in and say, these are the important moments that we need to highlight as a brand, or holidays, or, fun things that are coming up that we should be touching and talking on. So that kind of gives me a little bit of an organized structure to make sure that we're thinking about those cultural moments and staying ahead of like what we need to do for the brand.
100%. That's great to hear. I'm curious from your end, what are some of your favorite projects or, activities that you've been able to work on with the brand?
Yeah, there's so many. One that stands out to me because it was just such a fun experience. We wanted to bring OLIPOP into where a traditional soda space. So we did some impromptu guerrilla marketing, and me and then one of our other, content creators who runs our TikTok went to a Denver Nuggets game, and we sat courtside. She was wearing an OLIPOP can costume. We got her in. It was literally broadcast. I think it was like a broadcast all over ESPN. We were getting a ton of engagement. We were live streaming it. And it was just such a fun experience bringing OLIPOP into a space that, traditionally we're not allowed to get into. So that was really, really fun. And what a fun experience sitting courtside, but also in a can costume and documenting that. We got to go on the court. We high-fived some players. It was just really, really special. And actually, funny enough, we were told at halftime we had to take the can off because people were chiming in so much about seeing us on ESPN, which is pretty fun.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. And I've seen a couple other of those brand moments I think that OLIPOP has participated in, just being out in the general public and just interacting with consumers in that way. And I think that's so impactful. You don't expect to see one of your favorite beverage brands just like walking down the street, but when you do, it's so fun. And you can create some really great content around that. So applause to you guys for that, because that's awesome.
The can costumes are so fun. They're so fun. I
Yeah.
love putting it on. I have one literally in my closet right here. So
Oh my God.
they're great. People
You
get
should have
very
worn
excited.
it.
I should have. I should have.
Amazing.
But maybe next time. But yeah, they're great.
Okay.
Literally love taking photos with us in the can.
Oh my gosh, so cool. Well, in creating content for the OLIPOP brand, what are some of the key strategies that you and your team employ? Are you building out those content calendars? I know you mentioned that you were doing some of that work. And how are you speaking to current and upcoming brand moments, or, researching what your consumers into and then answering those questions or comments that they have in your.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, that's a great question. We always, our brand platform is Real Love Makes Us. I don't know if you guys saw that. We did a campaign with Camila Cabello, which was so special. It was just kind of, about creating these connections with people, human connections, bringing emotion into this space. So that's definitely a strategy we employ in a lot of our content. We definitely want it to feel meaningful, and these little moments that people might not think of, but are anchored in sharing a beverage with someone, sharing an OLIPOP with someone. So that's some strategy that we kind of always try to have throughout a lot of our content. And the other one is, we always just try to stay relevant in the sense of like what's going on in social, and kind of staying one step ahead of what is going on, looking at the trends, and figuring out fun ways that we can incorporate it. And we want to be creating a community on our platforms of like friendships, I'll say, and something that people get really excited to chime into and engage with. So that's definitely a good strategy for us when we're looking at like how can we bring in new people, but also entertain the people that are already following us, and make it a really engaging, fun space for them.
Yeah, speaking of engagement too, is there anything in addition to that content that you're creating that you guys are doing to foster relationships with your community, whether on a community management standpoint or anything else, and just tips for activating your customers in that way?
Yeah, I think we do a really special job. I think our community management, we have some amazing community managers. I always get in there in the DMs and in the comments as well. I think our whole social team really like enjoys interacting with them. It's just fun. So we always try to, you know, respond to all of our comments on our channel, but in a really fun and unique way. I think sometimes people can get lost in just like emoji or, you know, actually responding to them in funny ways that they're like, wow, Olipop is hearing me, seeing me. We get a ton of organic buzz and chatter. So people are tagging us in their content and then just stories. So we always like to engage with them. And I think something special for me too is looking at the message requests that we get coming in. We have so many. So it is, you know, daunting to look at all that, but going through it all and seeing these special messages like, hey, you know, Olipop helped me get through this, or, you know, made me switch to drinking soda again and being able to have soda back in my life. It's like very special to have those moments. So I think, you know, never underestimate like getting into the DMs and getting your hands dirty with that. I think you'll learn a lot about your consumer that way.
Yeah, for sure. And I think people get super stoked too of just hearing from their favorite brands back. I think a lot of times, us as consumers, especially with the big brands like you guys, we don't necessarily always expect to get a response back. But as you guys prioritizing that, that's creating that memorable moment for the consumers and something they're going to remember and then just think of your brand all the time. So it's huge.
Yeah, we definitely have some people that we have built a lot of great relationships with. There's one on Threads where we created a name for strawberry vanilla, and anytime we post strawberry vanilla, he comments and says the name, and it's really funny. So we try to build those special moments with our consumers at all times.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys do a great job at that. But want to hear too, what advice do you have for listeners working at CPG brands who want to elevate their content, just overall their presence on social?
Yeah, I think, you know, social media managers get tasked with like putting out a bunch of content at all times. And I think that can be scary sometimes, like, oh, I need to post a certain amount of content every week or every month to hit this deadline, or, you know, this task that was given to me. And I think that's where people can get mixed up, where it's, you know, you're putting out content that is, you know, maybe aesthetic, but it's not really engaging. And I myself have done this a lot before and trying to learn from that. But, you know, putting out content that people are wanting to engage with and that are meaningful, organic, versus just putting out content to have live on your socials. I think that would be a good piece of advice I would give.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Well, you touched on it just a little bit in what you just said about, you know, really honing in on what it is that makes your content thrive. How do you and the Olipop team determine the success of your content then? Are there, you know, any tools or platforms that you typically use to monitor, manage, or measure the performance of your content marketing efforts?
Yes, so we were on a platform, but you know, it wasn't really working for us and what we needed. So right now we're actually in the middle of, you know, looking at a bunch of different platforms. We're doing a bunch of different trials.
I've
So
been there.
yeah.
I was the one doing all that research for a hair care brand like
Yes.
a few years ago. So I have been in your shoes, and that is a huge undertaking. So I
Yeah.
wish you best of luck with that.
Thank you. Yeah. But, you know, I think what we like to look for, again, engagement and like how people are, you know, responding to the stuff that we're putting out. I think that's really important for us. I think, you know, those organic comments and stories of like, you know, going into the retailer and we're seeing that the content that we're saying, you know, we're in this one retailer and we're seeing, you know, a week later everyone posting about that one retailer. It's great. So I think that's kind of a really good metric for us to look at, like how people are responding to the content we're putting out there. But yes, definitely a big undertaking, and I'm excited to see, you know, which platform we end up with.
Yeah, well, and Izzy, you guys are always doing such fun collaborations. You talked about one with Camila and just all of these things I can think of in the past that you guys have done. So, is there anything that you can speak to now that is coming up for you guys, whether on the external campaign side or just things that you guys are working on internally just to set yourself up for success in 2024?
Yeah, we have so much fun stuff coming up. I'm really excited. Unfortunately, I can't say anything, but you know, we're always looking at, you know, adding in some new flavors, so that might be on the horizon. We are showing up like, you know, in different areas that you might not see us. So some really fun sponsorship opportunities are coming in the pipeline as well. partnering with, again, really fun influencers and celebrities and expanding that as well. So there's a lot of fun stuff coming up. Definitely get your post notifications on and ready because they're coming.
Yes. Well, we can't wait to see everything that's ahead for you guys, but we have to finish out this episode by asking a question we always ask. It's one of our favorite questions here on Marketing Happy Hour, and that is, what do you know now that you wish you knew even a little earlier on in your career?
Yeah, I think this was such a good question. I going into the workforce, I think a lot of us felt this way, like, not having that confidence a little bit and being like, why would someone want to hire me? I'm just, I'm fresh out of college. I may have had internships, but like, why me? And I think having that confidence and going into the workplace, like thinking everyone's been in your shoes, everyone has felt the way and felt the things you're feeling. It is such a, crazy process getting your first job and coming into like the real workforce. So I would say just go into it with the confidence, and like brands are excited to have new people and like that are wanting to learn, and you bring such new insights as well. We have a whole new workforce coming in, and there's definitely going to be things and trends that they know more about than we do. So I think owning that and being like, I got this. That would be something I would like to say to myself if I could go back to.
Yeah. So good. Thank you for that advice. I think that's, we can never get enough of that, just building confidence. And a lot of times I think too, the things that we're thinking about ourselves, chances are no one else is thinking that about us. So just having that perspective too. So thank you for that. Well, Izzy, we have to also ask, of course, how we can stay in touch with you and everything happening over at OLIPOP. So please, if you don't mind, share with us the channels and places we can keep up with you.
Yeah, so you guys can all follow OLIPOP at Drink OLIPOP for our Instagram and TikTok and Threads and Twitter. And then we have our LinkedIn channel as well. And then me personally, you can follow me on my LinkedIn, and that's Izzy Yellin.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Izzy, for coming on and sharing all things OLIPOP and just your journey and your expertise. We really loved having you today. So thank you.
Thank
And
you.
cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Marketing Happy Hour podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. If you want more of Marketing Happy Hour but don't know where to start, we invite you to download our free Marketing Happy Hour starter kit at marketinghappyhr.com/starter-kit. This interactive magazine-style PDF walks through who we are, includes helpful resources like a marketing term glossary and the printable daily planner sheet that we actually use ourselves, and contains clickable links to our episode recommendations by subject area. Not to mention all the fun extras like a quiz, the link to our Marketing Happy Hour Insiders Facebook group, a word search, a playlist, a goal-setting guide, content inspo by month, and more. It's our hope that you'll dive into this resource and walk away more confident in your career journey with a group of industry pals that you can lean on for advice and support. Snag your free starter kit today at marketinghappyhr.com/starter-kit for all of the info you need to become a Marketing Happy Hour insider.